So today we're talking about a bunch of different settings that I think that everyone should use inside of your Teslas right now, things you should go and change if you don't have already. And there's a lot of different settings inside of the Tesla. This isn't all the settings tutorial. These are just the important ones I think that everyone should probably be doing. There's a little bit of room there for my opinion in some of these, but for the most part, I think you're gonna mostly all agree with me. And I found the reason why a lot of people maybe don't have some of these settings turned on or off is because they just don't really understand what that setting is doing. So today we're gonna try to accomplish that. And if you disagree with any of these comments or tips that I make in this video, please put them down below in the description. My channel has always been about discussion and helping each other, so this is just, again, my opinion, but I think, again, we're gonna mostly share that. So let's dive right into it and go to the ones that I think are the most important. Number one, let's start with the map. So if you're looking at your map and you see the little search bar in the top left, if you were to tap on that, it's going to pull up your recents as well as a home and work button. I recommend you go into your home button and input your home address in there. So wherever you are, if you're lost and you want to just simply get home, in the future, all you'll have to do is just tap on that button, slide down the search bar, pull over the search bar wherever you happen to have a preference, and it's going to automatically take you home without you having to stop and pull over to safely type in your home address. And of course, you can do the same thing with your work address. Next, let's go into the autopilot settings, go down to your trip planner and set that to on. What that's going to do is when you're navigating to somewhere that is further away than your car has enough charge to get to, the car will automatically route in a supercharger so you don't find yourself somewhere going, oh shoot, I need charge, but I'm too far to get to a charging station. That's gonna already be calculated into your route. Next up is online routing. Set that to on and put it to save 5 minutes. What this will do is anytime that the navigation system is going to be taking you to a destination, it's gonna check for the most efficient, fastest way of getting you there, all while following the parameters that you've set down below, like avoid tolls or avoid ferries. And the save 5 minute part just says only give me a reroute if it's gonna save me at least 5 minutes to my destination. Next, let's go to the pedal and steering section. And here I recommend going down to the stopping mode and setting that to hold. And there's two reasons for this. First up, anytime your car is gonna come to a complete stop, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically lock your brakes. It's not necessarily with the parking brake on, but it's going to just lock your brakes until you press on the accelerator. The second thing it's going to do, it's gonna allow your regenerative braking to go all the way down to the maximum low speed, meaning you're gonna get the maximum range with your car, because where it used to stop around 5 and then just sort of free roll if you don't have this set to hold, now it's going to use the regenerative braking, meaning putting the energy from the wheels back into the battery all the way down until it stops itself. Next, let's go down to regenerative braking and set that to standard. That's going to allow the car to have the maximum amount of regenerative braking, meaning when you take your foot off of the accelerator, it's going to slow down the strongest, almost feeling like you're hitting the brakes, versus low is going to slow down a lot slower. Next, go down and turn on the toggle for apply brakes while regenerative braking is limited. So one problem with regenerative braking is that if the battery is too full, close to say 100%, or the battery is too cold, then your regenerative braking is going to be limited. So in the past, you would have to drive a little bit differently than you were used to, which is having to actually use your brake. With this toggle on, what it's going to do is where regenerative braking stops and is not able to do its full performance, it'll start using the brakes. The car will start using the brakes to actually replace what the regenerative braking is not able to do. And this is actually really good because it's important to use your brakes now and then to kind of get off the crud and rust and water and whatever else gets stuck on your brakes. So this is actually a good thing for the longevity of your brakes as well. From here, let's go down to the autopilot settings. And there's two different types of autopilot we're going to go through. There's the full self-drive beta and then the autopilot or auto steer beta section. So let's go through the auto steer beta first. Okay, so first you're going to want to hit that customize autopilot button. And then from there, if you use Navigate and Autopilot regularly, you're usually put in a destination and then let Navigate and Autopilot do its thing. I would recommend turning automatic navigation on. That's going to allow it so when you get in your car, you put in a destination, automatically it's going to start doing the navigation or Navigate and Autopilot functions, such as passing slow cars, merging for you, as well as taking off ramps. The difference being without that on, you just simply have to turn it on yourself. For speed-based lane changes, I recommend putting that to Mad Max, and I know I'll get a little bit of pullback on that from a lot of people. A lot of people do use average on that, but in my opinion, Mad Max is average for me. I don't feel like I'm a very aggressive driver at all, yet Mad Max is about what I would drive myself. I find the average is just too slow. It can get down 5, 6, 7 miles per hour below the speed limit before it actually changes lanes, whereas the Mad Max just basically keeps you at the speed that you set. On exit passing lane, you want to turn that on. To be honest, I'm not really sure why that's even an option. I don't know why you would ever want to just stay driving in the passing lane. Require lane change confirmation. You're going to want to turn that off. What that's basically doing is you've told your car, I want you to navigate for me to my destination. However, when it goes to pass a car, it's going to require you to actually confirm that by hitting the indicator stalk or tapping on the screen. Otherwise, it's just going to stay in that same lane. So by turning that off, it's going to just do that all automatically for you. Of course, you will still have to have your hand on the wheel and be applying a slight amount of torque. For lane change notification, I put this to both so you know when the car is about to change lanes, especially if you have it to automatically be changing those lanes and not requiring confirmation. It just keeps you more informed of what the car is actually doing, especially if you're newer to using these features. You're going to want to turn on traffic light and stop sign control. That basically is going to stop your car if the light you're about to go through is red or yellow, as well as a stop sign is going to automatically come to a stop. You're going to want to turn on full self-driving visualization preview. Again, this just gives you the ability to see what the car is seeing, which is really helpful in building your confidence when using this. And again, if you decide these are more annoying than useful, this isn't exactly a safety feature, so you could turn it off, but I think you'd like it to be on. Automatic blind spot camera, turn that on. That's going to allow the cameras to pop up when there's someone in your blind spot when you turn on your blinker. And keep in mind, you can change the location where that camera is as well by pressing on it with your finger and dragging it around on your screen. Automatic blind spot collision warning, you're going to want to keep this on. You'll hear a chime when you're about to change lanes if there's someone actually there in the lane to help you avoid that collision. On the forward collision warning, I would suggest medium. Any more is really annoying and any less doesn't seem to really do its job, so I found medium is a really good spot. On the lane change departure avoidance, change that to assist. What that's going to do is when you're about to go over a fog line or even the center yellow lines, it's going to steer you back into your lane. Now below here, there's a whole bunch of different toggles, all geared towards your safety. Emergency lane departure avoidance, obviously keep that on. We just talked about the settings for that. Automatic emergency braking, I mean, this is where an emergency is going to slam on the brakes if you don't, so you won't hit somebody. Obstacle aware acceleration, you're going to want to turn that on as well. Same thing at lower speeds, it's going to automatically slow down for you so you don't hit something. The next one down is traffic aware cruise control. You're going to want to turn that on as well. It's just another safety thing that chimes so you're being aware of what's happening if you're maybe distracted for a second. And then green traffic light chime, this is where you're in the car at a red light and all of a sudden you hear a chime noise. Maybe you look down, maybe you talk to your child for a second and you miss the green light. Well, this is going to put a little chime sound in your car so you know the light just turned green, and I love this one. That's one of my favorite little toggles. Next, let's go back up to charging, and I recommend putting your charging to 80%. Basically, anywhere between 80% and 90% is fine. You don't want to go over that unless you're going to be traveling somewhere and you're going to need that full range. But to keep your battery healthy and lasting the longest, between 80 and 90 is good. I keep mine at 80 because I never even come close to using that on a regular daily basis. But if you do, then move it to 85 or 90, but somewhere in that range. And of course, you do that by just sliding the arrow there up and down on the screen or by doing it in the Tesla app. Next, let's go to the full self-drive beta settings. So the first one is full self-drive beta, and I would suggest turning that to assertive. Again, this is just more of an average driving. It's just somebody who says, I want to get to my destination. I don't want to be stuck behind the slow guy. This is going to make sure that's happening. The slower you put these settings, it's just the longer it's going to take for it to change lanes and the frequency it's going to change those lanes. And let's say that you're on a trip and you're kind of tired of the car changing lanes. You want to just sit back and relax, not have to worry about it. Then you can go down to the next toggle below and say minimize or minimal lane changes for current drive. Turn that on. What that's going to do then is it's just going to put that setting in place for your current drive that you're on, meaning until you hit park and park the car. So when you're on that drive, it's only going to change lanes when it needs to keep you on track for wherever you're going. Maybe it's taking an on-ramp, off-ramp, that sort of thing. Okay, next up is locks. Now, if you have kids in the back seat of your car, I'd recommend turning this on here. Make sure that the back doors cannot be opened by any little fingers. Next, go down to walk-away door lock and turn that on. This just means that when you get out of your car, whether at home or wherever you are, and you walk away from your car, it's going to automatically lock your doors. Now, you can exclude your home if you're at home and say you park in the garage or something, but if you're not in that situation, I would highly recommend you have this turned on. Next, driver door unlock. I would suggest keeping this off. This is basically where when you walk up to the car, the only door that's going to unlock is the driver's door, not the other three. I just found this to be way more trouble than it's worth. Oftentimes I need to go get something out of my back seat or on the passenger side, so I walk around to that door. and I can't get in there because only the driver's side door is unlocked. So the way this works then is you would go over to the driver's side door, and if you open it and just hold down the unlock button, it will unlock it for the rest of the cars, but it's all these extra steps and just never really been an issue. It's one of those problems that I didn't need solved, and that's what I've heard from most people as well. So I would recommend keeping that off unless you have a very specific reason why you only wanted, maybe you're in a dangerous area. I don't know. I can't think of a reason. Maybe let me know down in the comments if you use that. I would love to know what situations you're using that and you have that turned on for. Go to unlock on park and turn that on. That's where you're going to hit the park button and automatically all the doors open, so all your kids and you all can just get out of the car. Close windows on lock, you want to turn that on as well. That's a really great one. So a good example of this is one time I didn't have this on and I parked in my driveway, which I normally park in my garage, but I parked in my driveway. Windows were open because it was a warm day. Went to bed, totally forgot to go shut the windows. It rained and my seats got all soaked and it was a disaster. With this though, when you walk away from your car, when your door locks, when the car basically shuts down, it's going to go ahead and shut up all the windows so you don't have to ever worry about that. Another example is if you don't know that maybe your kids have rolled down the rear passenger window and you guys just went into the mall or something, well, this will make sure that window's not left open for little robbing fingers to come in and steal your stuff. Next, go to lights. I would suggest turning your headlights to auto. It actually works very well. For auto turn signal, I would turn that to auto cancel. This is actually a very useful feature. What this basically does is when you pull all the way down on your indicator, and let's say you're changing lanes from the right to the left lane, when you get into the other lane, you don't have to worry about flicking that back up again to cancel the indicator. It's going to automatically detect that it's in the lane, it's completed the lane change, it's going to turn that off for you. Next, auto high beam. I would actually turn that off. I have very seldomly ever heard someone say that they like this and it actually works well for them. It seems to be quite delayed. Sometimes it seems to work really great. Other times when it's like raining out and it's not really the ideal conditions, people have reported that you can blind people or it doesn't turn on quite at the right times. And so I recommend until they make some more updates on that to turn that off. But that one's definitely up for debate. So let me know down in the comments if you do use auto high beams or not. I myself find it more awkward than not, and so I do not use it. Next, go down to display. The only one here I'd recommend is changing your energy display to percentage. This one, of course, is also very debatable, and it is definitely a preference setting. It's not safety or anything like that. But there's been lots of reports, especially in the news lately and headlines, about how automakers, Tesla included, have inflated the numbers on the mileage to make things look better than they are. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never proved that right or wrong. I've always felt that the mileage is actually pretty accurate, but the percentage gives you a way better sense of what's left in the battery. And the range can change based on the weather, can change based on elevation, and so many other factors all of a sudden. And so most people report that the percentage just makes you feel better, gives you more information. Next, we go down to safety. On Sentry mode, definitely turn that on. Just make sure you have a USB drive put into your Sentry mode port or USB port. Whether you have a newer vehicle in the Model Y, you have that in the glove box, or you have it in the center console on one of the older vehicles or your Model 3s. And to avoid putting too much data onto your USB drive, if you're at home in your garage, check that box for exclude home so Sentry mode will not be on when you're at home. Next, go down to camera-based detection and turn that on. What that does is allows Sentry mode to use not only its sensors for destructive things coming too close to the car, like a car hitting it or a person, but instead uses cameras to detect potential dangers around the car. And if the car thinks there's a potential danger happening around the car, then it will record that 10-minute footage as well and save it. Next is disable Sentry sounds. You want to keep that off. When that's off, what's going to happen is the car will use the horn as well as other sounds when it has detected some sort of a serious threat. So if you turn that on, then it's not going to make any sounds. So basically Sentry mode will just record what's going on, but it's not going to essentially turn on the alarm and scare the whatever away. Next, view live cameras. Now, if you pay for this feature, I highly recommend you use it. It's super great. Basically, it allows you from wherever you are to connect your car over internet and data, and what it's going to do is allow you to see all the different cameras in your car, which is really nice because now you can even see all 4 cameras in your car at once, giving you a real quick look at what's going on around your car. For dash cam, I would have that onto auto and on honk. What that's going to do is if you're in some sort of like a major event, like maybe you're in a car crash or your airbag went off, then it's going to record the last 10 minutes of video footage that happened to you, and it's going to save that in your Sentry mode and your dash cam footage on your USB drive. Now you can still go in manually in your settings and click record if you want to record a separate 10-minute segment of whatever else is going on, but this will automatically do it. So when you're in the middle of a car crash, you don't have to remember, go in there and tap record. And then having it as on honk, what that's gonna do is anytime you honk your horn, then it's gonna automatically save the last 10 minutes as well. And the theory there, of course, being you're honking your horn because some kind of an event's going on. Well, this just kind of protects you. For pin to drive, I would recommend you keep this on, and here's why. Teslas are really secure. They're fairly hard to steal. You do have to have a car key to actually get in there and use the car, or you have to have your phone. But if someone were to steal your phone or your car key, they could get into your car and drive away. So the pin is one extra level of security. So even if you had the key card, you get in the car, you put your foot on the brake, the first thing that's gonna happen is gonna request your pin, even if you have the key, even if you have your phone, to actually get your car moving. So I recommend to all my friends, and we use it on both of our cars, use that pin. It just adds another level of security. And of course, for park assist, chimes turn that on. So if you're getting close to something when you're parking another object, it's going to chime at you so you know, hey, I'm a little close to this object, drive slow, be careful. And on the software tab, you have the option of going to standard or advanced. So if you're one of these people that likes to keep up on all the different software updates that come to Teslas regularly, not so regular anymore, but they come frequent enough, once a month or so, then you want to be part of the advanced. That means all the different beta updates you're going to get. Now, just to be clear, just because someone else gets one does not mean you're going to get one. You may entirely miss one, but get the next one, and they might not get one. No one really knows exactly how these are all dished and sent out. But if you want to be part of them and get them quicker, you have to be on advanced to even have a chance of getting them. But some people do choose to be on the standard, saying, I only want fully operational, perfect, fully fixed software updates. Still doesn't mean they're fully fixed or perfect, by the way. Then you can say they're on the standard. Now, just a few extras on here I want to throw in about the music app. Number one, pull up your music, go to the options, hit the sources, and turn off what you don't want to use, what different sources you're not actually using. It just kind of cleans it up a little bit. You can just toggle off the different sources. So if you don't use Spotify or you don't use Apple Music, toggle that off. So when you click on your different options for sources, you don't see things in there that you're not using. Just keeps it kind of clean. Next, go down to audio settings, and that one that says DJ commentary, I recommend turning that off. Now, of course, if you like to hear that stuff, turn that on. But what that basically is on these streaming sites, like on Tesla's streaming stuff and on Spotify and other ones, a lot of times between music, you'll have the artist come on and talk about maybe the history of their song or some of the feelings they had when they were writing it and all that. If you don't want to have that on there, or at least limit it a lot, you turn that off. If you want to hear it and you like that kind of thing, turn it on. So next down is explicit content, and that's basically going to limit swearing from any of the songs. So if there's a song that's going to play that has swearing in it, it'll either find the clean version of it or it won't play it at all. And a lot of people don't know this is an option, but it is an option. And I have 3 little kids in the back of my car that I certainly don't want hearing that. I don't want to hear that. And so I turn that on and I never have to worry about it because my kids love music. If you go down to balance, you can scroll your finger around to make sure that the balance is where you want. I like keeping it in the dead center, which gets into the tone, the next one. And I keep mine on highly immersive sound if you happen to have the immersive sound package inside of your car, which all long-range models do, I believe. So that's my list of settings that I would go and change right away in your car to give yourself the most safe, best experience inside of your car, giving yourself the maximum range, maximum driving efficiency. Let me know down in the comments if you agree, disagree, and what other settings you think are a must-have so everyone else watching this video can go down and make some adjustments as they need. Thanks for watching again, and don't forget, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more future updates on car software, tips, videos, tutorials, and a lot of really fun product reviews coming up. See you guys on the next one.